I did not see one play of the second half. Did I really need to? Do you blame me? Oregon blasts Colorado 42-6. And does the final score even indicate in any such way how much better the Ducks are than the Buffs? At least on this day, this fine Saturday in September in Eugene. Welcome to the Voice of College Football. Instant analysis on, for some people, especially outside of college football, the most anticipated game of the day that turned out to be a complete and utter dud. Oregon, way too much for Colorado. All right, 35-0 at half. So let's start out by crediting Deion Sanders and his coaching staff and for the entire Colorado program for what they've accomplished through 3 games. We've talked about it so many times here. I have gushed over Deion and what he's been able to achieve in grabbing 68 transfer portal players, putting them together with 20 true freshmen in the recruiting class, and then some holdovers in spots, both on the offense especially, and then in the linebacking core on the defense for Colorado to put together this 3-0 start, which included, for what was many, a shocking win over TCU. No surprise to me. I didn't pick them to win, but it was no surprise that they took on TCU and won that game. And then Nebraska and their putrid offense winning that game. Was that impressive? Not so much. We see Nebraska now struggling. And then the comeback that was astonishing. It was a very entertaining game against Colorado State, but a Colorado State team that lost by 4 scores against Washington State and was never in the game. Okay, so Colorado's done remarkable things, there's no question. But this week, facing legitimate top 10 to 15 team in the country for the first time, after playing TCU, a top 40 or 50 team, playing Nebraska, a top 50 or 60 team, playing Colorado State, more like a top 80 team, 90 team. So they finally got what a lot of people expected. Football, hardcore football people, I heard this out of a number of people that I respect, not necessarily, I'm not talking about national pundits, I'm talking about people here in the community that expected the Ducks to just blast Colorado. A lot of people expected, and I heard some upset calls out there as well. I was somewhere in between. I did not expect this. I expected Colorado to hang in the game for a half. I expected Oregon to win by 17, 20, something in that range. Not to basically name the score. You know, we could be sitting at 70 to whatever right now. Let's face it, Oregon didn't need to score in the second half, and maybe Dan Lanning had some mercy on Colorado. I don't know. But congratulations to the Buffs, what they've accomplished thus far. It's still a long season ahead. And I made mention, first of all, this team was 1-11 last year. Well, it wasn't this team. It was the same uniforms and the same name and so forth. But 1-11 last year. I picked them to go 4-8. So they are exceeding my expectations as well as everybody else still. And then once I got to see those 3 games, I thought, okay, once they step into Pac-12 play and take on the best teams in the Pac-12, USC, Oregon, they don't play Washington, Utah, those kind of teams, even though they're very different teams, especially Utah from those other teams, this is what I believe we can expect, and I'll hold to it even now, despite getting completely annihilated by Oregon. That Colorado will either get embarrassed in those games against the best teams. They will just not have it on that particular day. And that's what resulted today. And I threw out scores like 55-24. I didn't see this, though, where they just basically couldn't score even. This was an impressive showing by Oregon on both sides of the ball, especially the defense, because we knew the Colorado defense was awful. So I threw out like 30, 35-point wins when Colorado just didn't have it that day. They weren't throwing and catching like they can. Now, I also predicted there could be the occasional 1 or 2 times this year against the top teams in the Pac-12 where they've got it together, they're humming, they're smoking. Shedeur Sanders has enough time, unlike what he had today, but maybe has a little bit more time, and the pressure rate has been extreme on him even through the first 3 wins, that Colorado scares some teams, some top-level teams in the Pac-12. That remains to be seen. We got the first example the first rendition of what Colorado could look like against the best teams in the Pac-12, and that's that they're nowhere close. Deion's done a great job of throwing together a team in a summer. Oregon had a program before Dan Lanning, and he has built upon it and made what Mario Cristobal built a little bit better. Significantly better? We shall see. Oregon coming up against Stanford next week on the road in Palo Alto, and that raucous environment. The Ducks are 4-0, and Colorado takes on USC. I got to think that folks at Fox are still standing by their decision to make this the big noon kickoff. People are still going to watch, but a lot of the luster taken off Colorado. Of course, they were hoping that the Buffs would pull off a major upset, of course, or stay close, make it competitive, and set up what would have been a compelling game against USC. Trojans take on Arizona State tonight, which Arizona State right now is vying for the most injured and the worst team in all of college football in the Power Five. So that could be a bit of a mess, but it still provides a little intrigue next week. Colorado at home. Do they bounce back, show some pride, show some resilience? Well, that's what Deion has certainly preached to his team about being tough, being, fighting through things and, stepping up to a challenge. So they're certainly going to have one next week against USC. Your thoughts about Colorado and the Buffs and how they play out the rest of this season. Also, your thoughts about, again, Travis Hunter. We got to mention Travis Hunter, who may have been the best player on the field had he been on the field in uniform and been able to play. But, of course, the lacerated liver against Colorado State last week. And, again, I posted a video, even though there are some knuckleheads out there that call me a hater of Deion Sanders. I posted like a 15-minute diatribe just gushing over how classy I thought it was that he made the statement about the CSU defensive back and how we should all, or the Colorado players and Travis Hunter in particular, and all the people giving death threats, which is complete lunacy and idiocy beyond belief, should be forgiving of that late hit. So anyway, we got Colorado and USC again. Big noon kickoff Eastern time, 10 a.m. kickoff in Mountain West time. So my thoughts about the whole situation, Oregon, Colorado, the levels of the teams. I was, again, a bit surprised, but I also forecasted these kind of days for Colorado. So this happened to be one of them. As a 21-point favorite, Oregon just blasted that to smithereens in the first half. Your thoughts about Colorado football? Most importantly, Oregon football, because they are a Pac-12 contender, as expected, it would appear. Right here at the Voice of College Football.